Tzu Chi volunteers in Sint Maarten recruit local volunteers to help out at the aid distributions. Tzu Chi's baking volunteers in Pingtung sold pastries to raise funds for DaAi TV. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Sue. Thank you for joining us. Tzu Chi volunteers in Sint Maarten have hosted 9 aid distributions since last November, helping nearly 2,000 Hurricane Irma victims. There were a few times when the distributions were in communities that are not as safe. However, Tzu Chi volunteers have solved the problem by recruiting local volunteers to set up the distribution venues and maintain orders.
News for today and truth from the past. Step by step, Tzu Chi volunteers in Sint Maarten have completed 9 aid distributions since Hurricane Irma.
Thank you, Tzu Chi.
Today we encountered challenges that we don't usually face. We had a very large amount of people today, close to 300 if not more, and that is something that we are getting used to. However, they were not all friendly, which made it quite a bit difficult for us, but it was great overall and they all appreciate it.
A pity that all of our own volunteers didn't show up. More volunteers should show up in the next future. And yes, we learned a new lesson.
I feel so happy about it, and God continue to bless all you, to bless us in Quebec.
Seeing some flower, I well needed it. It can make good use, and it's very nice and kind.
Impacted by the northeast seasonal winds, Malaysian East Coast states were flooded. Among the affected areas, Pahang suffered the most serious damage. Tzu Chi volunteers conducted damage surveys.
In the first week of the new year, heavy rainfall has continued to lash the east coast of Malaysia, impacting 6 of the 13 states. Kuantan Pahang is one of the most affected areas. Nearly 4,900 people have been evacuated to 24 evacuation centers. More than 10 schools have announced closures, with some dangerous areas even putting up blockade lines as warnings. Tzu Chi volunteers have started their disaster surveys, walking into disaster areas to understand the needs of affected residents.
This morning, we went to 5 disaster areas. In the temporary shelter, we saw about 350 families, which include about 1,100 affected residents.
The water flooded up to the 4 pillars of the house. It also flooded here in the house.
After completing damage assessment, volunteers immediately discussed the follow-up relief work.
Based on the current situation, it's hard for us to make a decision because we do not know if the amount of rainfall tonight will affect tomorrow's situation.
At the end of last year, Penang also suffered the same disaster caused by heavy rain. 2 months later, Malaysia once again experienced flooding. Tzu Chi volunteers hope by providing timely assistance and company, they can help affected residents get through the tough times.
In our next report, we meet Liu Shiwei from Taiwan. Growing up in a single-parent family, he used to have a poor relationship with his father. However, with the company of Tzu Chi volunteers over the years, Liu has changed his temperament and has mended a relationship with his father.
This is an ordinary dialogue between this father and his son. However, for Liu Shiwei, his past life is like this.
I remember my father was once suddenly sent to the ICU of a hospital. His condition was quite critical as I needed to sign the Do Not Resuscitate document. At that moment, I was wondering whether my life would be easier if my father passed away.
我就会变得比较轻松，就是。
Growing up in a single-parent family, Liu hasn't had a good relationship with his father. Over the years, Tzu Chi volunteers have patiently accompanied Liu. Every time when he returns to Zhanghua from his school in Tainan, the person who picks him up is Tzu Chi volunteer Hong Hongsheng. Not only greeting him with a warm welcome, the volunteer also brings him to see his father. Liu's father once fainted when he was cooking due to hepatic encephalopathy, leading him to suffer from a scald.
When you return home next time, you should help your father brush the toilet because he may not have the strength to do it.
Besides guiding Liu to do household chores, volunteers also seize this chance to improve his relationship with his father.
After Tzu Wei received your help, he has changed to be a better person, and he is no longer temperamental. He goes to do part-time work because he knows I am in poor health.
Tzu Chi volunteers also bring him to visit some Tzu Chi care recipients. Guiding this young girl to draw, Liu has also softened his heart.
I feel like I can care for them much like they were my brothers and sisters.
To spread the cycle of love, Liu chose to study social work. He hopes to accompany more families in need and help them overcome hardships in life.
In Vietnam, at Tzu Chi's year-end blessing ceremony in Ho Chi Minh City, local residents and care recipients joined the event with their families. Looking back at the past year, many are filled with gratitude for Tzu Chi volunteers. At Tzu Chi's year-end blessing ceremony, the attendees have brought their filled coin banks to be donated to Tzu Chi. Many care recipients have also come with their family to express their gratitude for Tzu Chi.
I sincerely appreciate Tzu Chi volunteers for accompanying my family through illness and hunger.
When the child has a fever or when other serious matters happen, we will take a few hours off to rush to the hospital and help grandma.
A lot of heartwarming stories have taken place in the past year. The attendees are also deeply touched by the sign language song performance.
It is very meaningful. If everyone in the world can harbor thoughts like this, it would be great.
They've garnered the loving hearts and compassion of many people to lessen suffering and pain.
As the ceremony attendees welcome the new year, they also hope they can embrace a better future. Before officially starting on New Year's Day 1998, DaAi TV had its roots in the Tzu Chi Foundation, which set up an audiovisual group in 1995. At that time, Taiwan's cable TV industry was thriving, and some 20 years later, the situation is no longer the same. Despite this, DaAi TV continues to rely upon loyal employees who have remained in their posts.
咱若是坐火车要去宜兰，经过上溪了后，有一站叫做牡丹。
Actually, when I was working here, I never counted the years 1, 2, 3, or 4. Now, when people ask me, I'm scared and wonder how I could have stayed here so long. I think this work environment allows you to contribute your feedback, which isn't possible elsewhere.
Turning back the clock 2 decades, when Du Yuping first left university, there were many ads in Taiwanese newspapers recruiting people to cable television stations. In July 1993, the government passed a cable television law, which ushered in an era where Taiwan's TV industry flourished.
At that time, Taiwan set up a lot of new television stations such as Sandy and Foguanshan, and we came after FTV. So there was a big group of young stations as well as those which were middle-aged.
At the beginning, we started from an audiovisual group, which was responsible for 1 hour a day of programming, which suddenly expanded to a station broadcasting 24 hours a day. We couldn't stop the broadcast, and this complicated program production meant a dozen people had to be recruited, with many new colleagues joining together.
At that time, I didn't even know what Tzu Chi was, as I just came to work.
With the station continuing to move forward, each matter needed to be attended to, and coworkers banded together to create a new and unique media station.
At that time, production was very complicated, and one person had to do 3 jobs, as we had just started the station.
In 1995, the predecessor of DaAi TV was the audiovisual group of the Tzu Chi Foundation. The content was held on the YouTube Rebar group and later relocated to public television.
Public television had 3 buildings, and we were in the top building. When we needed to broadcast a program, we had to go to the second building, and it was difficult to go up and down the hill. When it would rain, you could hear it on the sound of the audio tape.
This early staff were part of the media revolution and began to learn and understand Tzu Chi's media mission.
I remember the speech made by Master Zheng Yan on public television. She said, "I'm not afraid of you being too Tzu Chi. I'm afraid you're not following Tzu Chi enough."
现在我们恭请上人及肖院长为我们按钮开台。
Beginning on New Year's Day 1998, DaAi TV launched operations. The next day, the newspaper wrote a story with the title saying Master Zheng Yan starts DaAi TV, with a quote saying the station hopes to use the media to promote love and purify minds.
I think the goal here is very clear, doing what the Master wants to do to purify minds.
I think that what we do definitely has a lot of meaning.
I can't say that we change people, but perhaps their outlook. When you are doing something or watching this, you actually care what you are doing.
I want to bless DaAi TV and hopes it continues for a long time, as the whole Tzu Chi family across the world can be united.
I hope our DaAi colleagues can remember the initial inspiration and continue doing good works and spreading love to light up the world.
I want to thank DaAi TV for supporting me, and I want to wish the station happy 20th birthday.
I'm looking forward to the future and hope to continue to pass on this goodness. Happy birthday.
Bless DaAi TV station in the coming years, and I hope we can get more support and power to light up the world.
I hope we can continue in the future and receive more support, allowing DaAi TV to flourish.
Don't feel me. I've already promised you right.
In Pingtung, Taiwan, a group of Tzu Chi volunteers have formed a Jingsi food team that promotes vegetarian food. Around last Mid-Autumn Festival, they made special mooncakes with local fruit and Jingsi food products. They then sold the mooncakes and used the money to support DaAi TV. The Jingsi food team is good at promoting vegetarian food in Pingtung. Since they had a tour of DaAi TV last July, they have begun supporting DaAi TV.
I believe that humanitarian culture is important, as it can purify people's minds. We can canvass for donations to support DaAi TV. I think it is a very good way.
This team, which has been promoting vegetarian food, has decided to make special mooncakes for Mid-Autumn Festival.
The mooncakes on the markets are too sweet and oily. We use Jinsi food products as ingredients, and they are ready to be served.
The 4-color mooncakes made with fruit and vegetable are delicious and good for health.
We've been busy for about 10 days. Like what the master said, we are filled with joy and do not feel tired.
In order to make tens of boxes of mooncakes, other members of the Jinsi food team were mobilized.
During lunch breaks, I rushed back to prepare lunch for my husband. After he had lunch, I came back to continue the work.
After noontime, he goes to pick up my grandchild from school. He supports me as a volunteer. Therefore, I must thank my husband.
As one volunteer makes mooncakes, his entire family supports him. With a joint effort, boxes of special mooncakes have been sold. The customers are filled with gratitude. Everyone works together because in their daily life, DaAi TV is very important.
Guardians of the Land has featured Grandma Haijian, who lives in China. She works very diligently. When we slack off, we will think about her. This will encourage us to move forward. The strength is given to us by DaAi TV.
Besides being loyal audience members, the volunteers also use DaAi TV programs to encourage patients they meet at Tzu Chi Hospital.
I asked, would you like to watch TV? He replied he could only watch DaAi TV. Then someone nearby said, what's wrong with DaAi TV programs? They encourage us to help others. When I heal, I also want to help others. Look, isn't DaAi TV great?
Therefore, Pingtung's Jinsi food team is supporting DaAi TV with their expertise in baking pastries. By supporting DaAi TV, they hope to spread wholesome stories and love. The first overseas branch of DaAi TV is in Indonesia. Its news and other programs focus on beauty and goodness, so when their staff is being trained, they're also taught about it.
Just like other TV stations, the staff at DaAi TV always runs against time. Freddy Tiffany is being trained at DaAi TV this year. She decided that after she graduates, she will work here.
Kalau dari Fanny sendiri sih mungkin ya Kak.
I'm a quick learner, so I'm taught only once how to do something. I can master it quickly. Information and demands for TV are very quick, so it is right for me.
Orang yang cepat belajar buat kerja di dunia kayak gini, gitu.
Astiatika also began as a trainee, but now she is a producer and also an anchorwoman. She still has the same impulse, and her friendships with others are still very strong.
Perusahaan-perusahaan lain ataupun mungkin media yang lain di sini sistemnya.
This place is like a family because we know each other very well. When someone is in trouble or makes a mistake, we can all help each other. So it's not just related to work. We are like a family.
Deadline ataupun tayangan. Di luar itu kita keluarga.
Their family-like feeling came from their sense of social responsibility. They report beauty and goodness in society and also follow Tzu Chi volunteers to accompany the elderly in nursing homes or help out at free clinics in communities.
We are DaAi TV, so we have the responsibility and duty to realize, to personally feel, and learn how to make programs that have goodness. We should also do good deeds too, and this is something you can't feel when you are making programs.
Different from other media, they don't just observe and report, they also do what they report, and they can experience what they write and say. This has been something that DaAi TV has been upholding.
Women in Taiwan are getting married and pregnant later in age, and there's a higher chance of having a fetus with chromosomal abnormalities. Therefore, prenatal testing is becoming more important. As a small amount of amniotic fluid is sampled from the amniotic sac, one can screen for chromosomal abnormalities such as Down syndrome. Since it is an invasive screening, there is the risk of infection and miscarriage. Now the government is subsidizing pregnant women who are 34 or older for the screening.
In fact, young mothers can also be pregnant with fetus with chromosomal abnormality if the parents have family history of hereditary illness or she is very worried and wants to ensure the baby's chromosomes are normal. And if she is close to being 34 years old, she can consider amniocentesis.
However, if the pregnant woman is worried about the risk of miscarriage, or if she has a history of miscarriage, uterine tumor, infectious disease such as hepatitis B or AIDS, and is not suitable for amniocentesis, then she can consider non-invasive screening. They include drawing blood to check for Down syndrome and neutral translucency.
First trimester screening for Down syndrome can screen out 94% of fetuses with such disorder. However, for those whose 13th and 18th pairs of chromosomes are abnormal, the screening rate is only about 50 to 60%. Second trimester screening for Down syndrome can screen out 85% of such disorder.
Currently, a biotechnology company provides pregnant women a more accurate non-invasive screening for chromosomal abnormality. It takes 10 cc of the mother's blood and extract the DNA of the fetus to analyze the 21st, 13th, and 18th pairs of chromosomes. Nevertheless, in Taiwan, this screening cannot replace amniocentesis.
We still consider it a type of screening. If the result is negative, the pregnant woman can feel at ease. We still need to conduct amniocentesis on pregnant women and analyze the extracted cells of the fetus before we can officially say that the fetus has disorder.
There are 300 to 400 types of chromosomal abnormalities, and what the screening can do is limited. It cannot screen out all of the abnormalities. Therefore, if a pregnant woman discovers other problems, basically, we still need to conduct amniocentesis.
The advancement of screening has also reduced the possibilities of disorder. With the promotion of eugenics, the occurrence rate of Down syndrome has been dropping.
Currently, the possibility of Down syndrome in Taiwan is 1 in 16,000. It is a huge difference compared to the past possibility of 1 in 800. Many cases have been prevented with prenatal screening.
In addition, in Taiwan, there's also Fragile X permutation screening. It screens out a hereditary mental retardation-related illness. Therefore, if there are family members who suffer from mental retardation, development delay, ADHD, or autism, then the pregnant woman can consider undergoing Fragile X permutation screening.
We've discovered 3 such cases. Its occurrence rate is about 1 in 900 to 1,000. Among the 3 cases, there's no obvious family history of illness. Therefore, after we analyze their genetics history, we've discovered they are families that carry such genes.
Since women in Taiwan are now getting married at a later age, there's a higher chance of chromosomal abnormalities. Therefore, prenatal testing is ever more important as it can detect problems with the pregnancy as early as possible. In Minglong Borough of Taichung, the residents have been working together to hold health checks and haircut services for the underprivileged people for 15 consecutive years. Goodbye.